Have you ever picked up a handful of mixed nuts thinking you were making a healthy choice, only to wonder later if it's really doing your body any good? If so, you're not alone. For many of us over 60, we try our best to eat right, stay active, and keep our minds sharp. But sometimes the foods we think are helping us might actually be holding us back. And that's especially true when it comes to nuts. Yes, nuts. These tiny powerhouses have earned a reputation as heart-healthy snacks, and some of them truly are. But here's the catch. Not all nuts are created equal. In fact, some can quietly work against your brain and heart, especially as we age. They might increase inflammation, raise blood pressure, or even interfere with your memory. Now, that doesn't mean you have to give up on snacking altogether. Quite the opposite. When you choose the right nuts, you're actually giving your body, and especially your brain and heart, the fuel it needs to thrive well into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. So today, let's have a little heart-to-heart. We're going to talk about 4 types of nuts you might want to keep out of your kitchen, and 4 powerful ones you do want to keep close by. Because making just a few small changes to your snack choices can have a surprisingly big impact on how you feel. More clarity, steadier energy, even better sleep. Let's start with a nut that often surprises people. Cashews. They're creamy, they're tasty, and they're often the first ones to disappear from the bowl. But here's the thing. Cashews are relatively high in something called omega-6 fatty acids. Now, your body does need omega-6s in small amounts, but when you get too much, it can throw off your body's balance of healthy fats. Especially for seniors, too many omega-6s can fuel inflammation, the kind that affects your joints, your heart, and even your memory. You might notice you feel a little more sluggish or foggy after snacking on cashews regularly. That's your body's way of saying it's time for a change. Instead of cashews, try reaching for walnuts. These are true brain food. They're packed with omega-3s, the healthy fats that help your brain cells communicate and your heart beat steady. Some researchers even call walnuts nature's antidepressant because of how they support mood and mental clarity. And the best part? You don't need a whole bowl full. Just a small handful a few times a week is enough to give your brain that gentle, nourishing lift. Add them to your oatmeal in the morning or just munch on them as a snack while you read. Simple changes like that can work wonders over time. Now, let's talk about another nut that often sneaks in through trail mix or store-bought granola bars. Peanuts. Technically, peanuts aren't even true nuts. They're legumes. But the real issue is how they're processed. Many store-bought peanuts are roasted in low-quality oils, heavily salted, and sometimes even coated in sugar or artificial flavorings. That combination can raise your blood pressure and leave your arteries less flexible, which isn't exactly the kind of support your heart needs after 60. If you're someone who enjoys that salty crunch, you might want to swap those peanuts for almonds instead. Almonds are one of the best heart-healthy snacks out there. They're rich in vitamin E, which helps protect your cells from aging, and they help lower LDL, the bad cholesterol, while raising HDL, the good one. And here's a little tip. If you find almonds a bit too hard on your teeth, try soaking them overnight. Just leave a few in a bowl of water before bed, and in the morning, they'll be softer and even easier to digest. Now that we've covered cashews and peanuts, 2 common culprits, it's time to look at something you might not expect: macadamia nuts. They're buttery, they're indulgent, and they're often used in fancy dessert mixes. But macadamias are extremely high in fat, and not just any fat. They're high in saturated fat, which, in excess, can increase your cholesterol levels and put extra pressure on your cardiovascular system. Even though they taste luxurious, they're not always the best treat if you're trying to protect your heart. So what can you enjoy instead? Try pistachios. These little green gems are packed with fiber, plant-based protein, and antioxidants. They're also a good source of lutein, a nutrient that supports both your brain and your vision, something we all want to protect as we get older. And they're fun to eat too. Cracking them open one by one slows you down, making it easier to notice when you're full. That mindful snacking can help prevent overeating and give your digestion a chance to catch up, something our bodies appreciate more and more with each passing year. Before we move on, there's one more nut we need to address, especially for folks who like things sweet. Candied or honey-roasted nuts may seem like a better treat than a cookie or a piece of cake, but they often pack just as much sugar, and sometimes even more. That extra sugar can lead to blood sugar spikes, fatigue, and over time, it contributes to a higher risk of type 2 diabetes and memory decline. So instead of reaching for sweetened nuts, how about hazelnuts? These often get overlooked, but they're full of healthy fats and B vitamins that keep your nervous system humming along. They also pair beautifully with dark chocolate if you're craving a treat that's both satisfying and smart. You see, the beauty of nuts is that they can either work for you or against you. The key is choosing the ones that support your unique needs, especially the needs of a wiser, older body that's earned a little extra care. Now that we've covered some of the most common mistakes people make with nuts and a few of the smartest swaps you can make, let's keep this momentum going. Now that we've taken a closer look at some of the nuts that could be silently sabotaging your health, let's keep that positive momentum going and talk more about the ones that can actually help you feel sharper, stronger, and more energized, naturally. You see, as we age, our bodies don't process food the same way they did in our 30s or 40s. Digestion slows down a bit. We become more sensitive to certain ingredients, and what we eat starts to have a more noticeable impact, not just on our waistlines, but on how we think, how we feel, and even how well we sleep at night. That's why the choices we make now are more important than ever. And it's not about cutting out everything you enjoy. It's about making little swaps that make a big difference. We've already covered some powerful ones, like trading cashews for walnuts and peanuts for almonds. Let's keep going with another game-changing choice, one that supports both your heart and your brain at the same time. Brazil nuts. Now, Brazil nuts aren't something most people eat every day, and that might be a good thing. While they do contain healthy fats and a powerful antioxidant called selenium, they can actually be too much of a good thing. Just 2 or 3 Brazil nuts a day give you more than enough selenium, which supports thyroid function and protects your cells. But go overboard, and it might lead to hair loss, fatigue, or even irritability. That's why moderation really is key, especially with Brazil nuts. They're not bad, but they're powerful, and eating too many is a common mistake, especially when you're just grabbing a few handfuls from a mixed container. You wouldn't pop 3 multivitamins in a row, right? Same rule here. If you're looking for something more reliable and easygoing, let's talk about pecans. These rich, buttery nuts are incredibly underrated. They're loaded with antioxidants, which help your body fight the daily damage that leads to aging and disease. Pecans also help lower inflammation, something many seniors struggle with, whether it shows up as joint pain, brain fog, or that general sense of slowing down. What's lovely about pecans is how versatile they are. Sprinkle a few chopped ones on a salad for a little crunch, mix them into plain yogurt, or enjoy them with a few slices of apple for a quick, balanced snack. They offer steady energy without the sugar crash, and they're gentle on digestion too. Now, let's take a step back for a moment. Think about the last time you felt really mentally clear. You know, that moment when you could remember a name easily, or you walked into a room and actually remembered why you walked in there. Those moments are precious, and the good news is they don't have to be rare. With the right foods, especially the right fats, you can nourish the parts of your brain that keep your memory sharp and your mood steady. And that brings us to one of the best brain-boosting foods out there, hazelnuts. We touched on these earlier, but let's dive a little deeper because they deserve a spotlight. Hazelnuts are rich in vitamin E, which supports brain health by protecting your neurons, those little messengers that help you think clearly and stay focused. And here's something you might not know. Studies have shown that vitamin E can help slow cognitive decline, especially in older adults. That means hazelnuts aren't just tasty. They're a gentle form of protection for your mind. And again, you don't need a lot. Just a small handful a few times a week can make a difference over time. But we've got to talk about how you eat them too. A lot of folks fall into the trap of grabbing prepackaged nut mixes that are roasted in seed oils, loaded with sodium, or packed with added sugars. And that kind of processing can undo all the benefits you're hoping to get. So whenever possible, go for raw or dry roasted nuts without added ingredients. Your heart and brain will thank you for it. Now, I know we've covered a lot, and you might be wondering, how do I actually remember which ones to eat and which ones to avoid? Here's something simple that can help. When in doubt, reach for nuts that feel clean. No sugary coatings, no fancy flavors, just natural, earthy goodness. The closer a nut is to the way it grows in nature, the better it usually is for your body. And speaking of keeping things natural, let's talk about a small but mighty nut that often gets overlooked, the pine nut. Now, these little guys are usually found in pesto, but they're so much more than just a garnish. Pine nuts are full of magnesium, a mineral that supports over 300 processes in your body, including nerve function, blood pressure regulation, and sleep quality. Magnesium becomes even more important as we get older because our bodies tend to absorb less of it from food. But when you get enough, it helps you stay calm, improves your focus, and even keeps your heartbeat regular. So if you've ever felt like your heart's racing or your mind is running in circles, it could be your body's way of asking for more magnesium. And pine nuts are a delicious way to answer that call. You can sprinkle them on steamed veggies, mix them into brown rice, or even enjoy them on their own for a satisfying little snack. They're soft, nutty, and buttery, and best of all, they're kind to your heart. As we wrap up this part of our conversation, I want to leave you with something to reflect on. When we talk about aging well, we're not just talking about avoiding illness. We're talking about living with intention, choosing what we feed our bodies and our minds with care. Because every snack, every bite, every choice we make, those are all opportunities to say, I still matter, I still deserve to feel my best. And you do. Every small step you take toward nourishing your body the right way is a form of self-care, and that never goes out of style, no matter how many candles are on your birthday cake. Now, before we bring this conversation to a close, let's talk about one more nut that doesn't always get the spotlight but truly deserves it: macadamia nuts. These are rich, creamy, and indulgent without being destructive to your health like some of the other high-fat snacks we've talked about. In fact, they're one of the best sources of monounsaturated fats, which are the same heart-healthy fats found in olive oil and avocados. Macadamia nuts help lower bad cholesterol while supporting the good kind, HDL, and that's key, especially as we age and our risk for heart disease naturally increases. But the benefits don't stop at the heart. Those same fats support your brain too. Think of them like a protective oil that keeps your thoughts flowing smoothly and your memory sharp. One of the things I love most about macadamias is how satisfying they are. You don't need a big handful. Just a few can leave you feeling full, energized, and clear-headed. And that's important, especially if you've been trying to cut down on sugary snacks or manage your weight without feeling deprived. Now let's take a moment to think about how all these pieces fit together. You've got almonds, full of fiber and vitamin E, walnuts, rich in brain-loving omega-3s, hazelnuts and pecans, brimming with antioxidants. Pine nuts offering magnesium, and macadamias supplying those smooth, healthy fats that cushion your heart and steady your mind. Compare that to the usual snack fare: salted peanuts, sugar-coated cashews, overly roasted mixed nuts with preservatives and added oils. And it's no contest. The truth is, eating smart doesn't mean giving up flavor or joy. It just means being aware of what's helping you and what's holding you back. You might be wondering, do I have to eat all these nuts every day? The answer is no. Just a small serving of 1 or 2 types a day, rotated throughout the week, is more than enough. Nuts are powerful, and when you use them the right way, they work like quiet allies in the background, doing their job without you even noticing, until one day you realize you're moving easier, sleeping better, and remembering names a little faster. It's not magic. It's simply giving your body what it needs to thrive. But I want to leave you with one more gentle reminder. While these changes are simple, they're also powerful, and the most powerful thing you can do is start. Don't worry about doing it all perfectly. Just swap out those salted peanuts for some raw almonds. Replace those overly processed trail mixes with a handful of walnuts or pecans. Keep a small jar of hazelnuts in the kitchen for when you're craving a snack. And maybe the next time you make rice or veggies, toss in a few pine nuts and see how your body responds. And listen, if you slip up, that's okay too. We're not aiming for perfection here. We're aiming for progress. A little better today than yesterday. A little stronger tomorrow than today. That's the rhythm of real change. It's quiet, steady, and it's entirely within your reach. Now, before we wrap up, I want you to really take this in. You're not too old to make a difference in your own health. You're not too late to feel better, think clearer, or wake up with more energy. Your body might be older, but it's still listening. And every nourishing bite you take sends it a message. I care. I'm still here. I still want to live well. And that's the message I hope this video leaves you with. So if this has helped you feel more confident about what to eat and what to skip, please take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments. What nuts have worked well for you? Which ones are you going to try swapping out this week? I'd love to hear from you, and so would everyone else in this community. You never know who you might inspire with your story. And if you found this video helpful, go ahead and give it a like. It really helps others find this kind of content too. And don't forget to subscribe if you'd like more gentle, practical advice on living your best life after 60. We've got so much more to explore together. Here's to the clarity of a well-fed brain, the strength of a nourished heart, and the peace of knowing you're taking care of yourself with wisdom, intention, and love. Until next time, be kind to your body, keep your spirit strong, and remember, you're not just getting older, you're getting better.